Lepo pozdravljeni in dobrodošli na našem srečanju s predstavnikom portala za iskanje študentskih nastanitev Erasmus Play. To srečanje se snema, da si ga bodo lahko gledali tudi tisti, ki danes ne morejo biti z nami v živo in bo potekalo v angleščini. So with us today is Erasmus Play's very own Smith Doncourt, who will give you a brief presentation on finding accommodation abroad and will answer your questions regarding this topic. Please feel free to type your questions in the chat already during the presentation, or you can ask them live during the Q&A section. So Smith, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. And well, actually thank to you too for coming to this meeting, Gaspar and Tina, I can see. Yeah, so as Pia already introduced, I'm from Erasmus Play, and basically what we do is the idea behind everything that we are doing is trying to help students the same way that we wish somebody would have helped us back then when we were students, right? So without any further ado, I'm going to present my screen and then start giving you a little bit more information about how the accommodation realm works in Europe and how you should work out to find accommodation. Okay. So let me know if you see my screen. I'm going to present it. Okay, just as Pia already said, if you have any questions, since we are very few people, we are only 2 of you. If you have any questions in between what I'm saying and everything, just ask me straight ahead, okay? And from there, I can answer all your questions. You don't have to wait to the end. So if I say something that maybe you want me to go a little bit further into, just let me know so that I can move ahead with that, okay? So as I said, I'm from Erasmus Play, and well, let's go ahead, right? Basically, right now, I think most of you are in the same situation just as I was not too long ago. You have already chosen your city, the place that you want to go for Erasmus, and now your question are what is next, right? So previously, I think about 6-7 years ago, I was right there in your same situation. I chose Paris to go for my Erasmus, and now the idea was, okay, now that I've chosen Paris for my Erasmus, like what are the next moves that I have to do? Basically, I went straight ahead with the accommodation because it is one of the most important things, right? So you have to find a place to stay, and then everything comes after that. So either I found an accommodation in Paris or I had to reject it. Full disclosure, I rejected my Erasmus in Paris because I couldn't find accommodation. So this is one of the reasons why we are actually also doing what we are doing. So this is the situation, that there are a lot of students in Europe that are also going to an Erasmus, and even other international students coming in from the US, from Asia, from South America, and all these countries, right? So there are a whole lot of people that are going to be in the same situation as you. So you are searching for accommodation, they too are searching for accommodation. Right now you are among all these bands. So now you have to figure out, okay, what do I have to do to get my place, the one that is comfortable with me and the one that I feel secure with. And in my situation, these were the 3 things that caught me off guard. I wanted to go to Paris because I wanted to learn French. And first of all, I didn't know any French. So finding accommodation in a different language is a whole new thing. I didn't know, I've never been to Paris, right? So I didn't know how Paris was, how the lifestyle is, what am I going to spend, what am I going to do, how I can do everything. And also regarding the rental process. So every country have its own rental process. You have to understand that. And that time, I didn't have any understanding of this. So normally, where do people search for accommodation, right? So I don't know if any of you have started searching for accommodation, but in my time, what I did is I went online to Google. Google is the father of everybody. So any information that we want, we just jump on that. And what I found is that there were many websites, right? So these ones, they represent a lot of big classified websites in many European cities, right? So Idealista is here in Spain. You have French property that is in France. And then other people in my turn, I jumped on Facebook, because on Facebook, there are a lot of groups that are about Erasmus. And then they talk about, okay, this owner wants to rent this place, this owner wants to do this. So these are the types of things that people normally use, right? And also regarding the university, like they kind of ask the university. The major problem with these type of accommodations, the major issue in this case, is that nobody is there to secure you that these accommodations are verified, that these accommodations exist, and that you are going to, if you book any one of these, you are going to actually meet it in the conditions that you saw it in the images, right? So that is kind of a problem because they are not verified. This is where the problems come. So this is where the potential flaws comes in, right? Because if they are not verified, then you can fail for frauds. Regarding the fraud situation, I think is very interesting because every single year in Europe, almost 30,000 million euros are lost in housing fraud, right? So just keep this in mind that all these platforms, anything that you see that is not secure, that is not verified, it might have the potential of being a fraud. So this is the amount of money that is lost every year in housing. So if, just to put it in perspective, like even if it's 300 euro per person, that is 100,000 students that fall for frauds, right? So that is a whole lot of people. And if we are talking about almost 1 billion people, that is 10% of that people. So it's very, very easy to fall fraud to all these kind of things. So you have to be very aware. And today, what I'm going to do now is give you a few tips and information about how to avoid these kind of scams and frauds regarding accommodation in general. Just as I was saying, right? So if you want to book a place, you want to book a place that looks exactly as the pictures, not going into a website, finding this barbershop, and then you buy it and then you receive this at home, right? It doesn't make any sense. Or likewise, you buy this shirt because it looks nice, and then you receive something like this, right? This doesn't make any sense, and this is what we want to avoid. And if you are going to the housing realm, you look at something like this, wow, these are very nice images. But then you get to the place and the place looks something like this. So this is what we are trying to avoid because this happens a lot. And when we're talking about housing fraud and housing scams, these are one of the major things that normally happen, right? You see the image, but then you get into the place and it's a whole complete thing. It's not the same. So moving on, what we did is we kind of had, my colleagues and I, we started Erasmus Play because we kind of had similar problems. And what we wanted to do in Erasmus Play is we wanted to bring in only the accommodations that have been verified, right? So we are working with many different accommodation providers. And what we are doing is we are putting into one place all these different accommodations that have been verified into one place so that it's way more easier for people to come in to see the ones that they are interested in and then to book them and have that security that at least is available and is verified, okay? So as I was saying, in this case, the comparison that we normally use is the Trivago of student housing. So I believe most of you know Trivago, but in this case, we are talking about long-term or medium to long-term accommodation. Regarding the housing types, I think there are 4 types of housing, and this is important for you to know because when you are booking something, they'll always write the type of accommodation that you are going in for, right? So the first one, you have a shared apartment. So that is going to be, you are going to have an individual room in a shared apartment. So this one is normally cheaper because you are sharing the accommodation with more people. You get to meet more people because there are a lot of other people living in the place. So maybe you have 3, 2, or 4 people living with you. Normally, they are also students. You share the chores, and then it's easy to make friends because from the start, you have people that you are already living with. You don't have to go out and meet other people because you have those living with you, and then you get to share your experience with them. You get to befriend them. The second one is regarding a studio apartment. So this one, somebody that wants to be totally alone. I don't want anybody by my side. I just want to be my single apartment and live on myself. This one is more independent, so you get more independency. Everything is yours. Nobody's touching your things. Nobody is telling you what to do. You decide what you want to do. These ones normally are a little bit more expensive because you have to take care of everything, right? So you have to take care of the monthly rent. You have to take care of the utility bills. You have to take care of everything, and also you have to clean everything yourself. The next one is less social life. So if you are living alone, that is hard to get to know people right from the entrance. And normally there are fewer options of these, right? Because people living in the city most of the times are already using these. The next one will be student residences. And these ones are student halls that most of the times some of the universities have, or they are even student halls, they are private ones that you can live in with, right? So these ones, they tend to be a little bit more expensive than what shared apartments are, mainly because they are all inclusive. What do I mean by all inclusive? I mean that utility bills, electricity, water, gas, everything is already included in the price. So you don't have to pay any extra amount, right? And also, like, there are a whole lot of people that you get to socialize with. There are a little bit more strict rules. You just can't invite anybody. You can't have parties at any time that you want. But in contrast, there's a whole lot of support. So these people, they are always dealing with students coming in, going out. So if you need anything, okay, how do I get the transportation card? Oh, you have to go here, you have to go here, you have to do this. They can show you a lot of things. And the last one that I think nobody's looking forward to, but I just have to say it, is Homestay. So Homestay is living in the house of a family, right? Normally, so local people, you live in one of the rooms of these local people. In this case, you are not around with other students, so the rules are different because this is a family that we are talking about. Then again, you get to know, okay, a little bit more about the culture of the country that you're going to, right? So maybe if you're going to Italy, if you're going to France, if you have those people close to you, you get to know them more, and even learn the language is way more easier. Moving from the type of housing that there are, I'm going to go a little bit deep into the renting process, right? So this, as I told you previously, it was difficult for me because I didn't know anything about it. But now I'm just going to give you a little information so that you have some idea about how the renting process works in different countries. So in most of the countries that have you see here on the screen, were Spain, Italy, Portugal, Greece, most of these countries, the rental process is very similar, right? So normally you get in contact with the landlord through a secure platform, and then you show your interest in renting a place. The landlord would ask for normally an identification. So either maybe your ID, your passport, that shows that you exist as a person, you are somebody. And from there, normally what you do is you pay the first month rent, and then you pay a deposit, right? So the deposit normally is like 1 or 2 months of the first month rent, right? So you pay maybe 1 or 2 months of the first month rent, that is the deposit. And when your lease finishes, when your stay ends, what they'll do is they will return the deposit to you. If nothing has happened to the place that you are staying in, if you haven't caused any damages, because if you have any party and you destroy something, then they'll use that money to repair that. But if you haven't caused any damages, that money, that deposit that you paid would be returned to you, right? But these are for these countries. The next countries being France and Germany is a whole different story. In France, for example, before you can rent a place, they normally ask for a guarantor. That is somebody that can guarantee that if you don't pay, he or she is going to pay. So just for example, like in France, the guarantor have to earn at least 3 times what you are going to pay for the apartment or the room or your accommodation, right? So if you are going to stay in a room that is like maybe 500 euros, you have to prove that somebody that is going to be your guarantor can at least have a pay slip or earns 1,500, a minimum of 1,500 euros per month, right? So these are kind of interesting things that other countries have. And in the case of Germany, it's very similar. And Germany goes a little bit even more further because Germany, they ask for a whole lot of documentation. Show me your ID, show me your acceptance card or your acceptance paper to the university. Even some have gone to the extent of having personal interviews with the people that are going to rent the accommodation. So like these are some of the things that you have to be prepared for. So if they ask you for a guarantor, like it doesn't just get you by surprise. You know what exactly they are talking about. So France and Germany is like a different step, but the rest of the countries normally is very smooth going, right? So you have the first month, you have your deposits. In France and Germany is the same. You have the first month and you have the deposit. But additionally to that, they ask for some extra guarantees in case you don't pay. That is the reason why they ask for these guarantees. Okay. The next step that I think is extremely important is when you are going to book other accommodation, you have to understand the contract, the lease that you are signing with the property owner, so the landlord. There are 5 things. There are 5 major things that are in the contract that you have to be very, very straightforward with, and you have to look at it with extra lens. First of all is the monthly rent. The monthly rent is important mainly because depending on where you are going to stay, if it's like a very tourist city, normally the monthly rent, it changes upon every month. So let's say they'll say, okay, the start of September, it will be 500 euros. In October, it will be 550. In November, maybe it will be back to 500. By December, it will go up to 600 because it's a tourist city. The landlords think sometimes that they can rent that for a higher price. So some of the times that is what they write in the contract. So you have to be aware that, okay, is this amount going to be the same every single month, or is it going to change? So in the contract that you are going to sign, the lease, the accommodation lease, you have to be very, very aware of this. The next point is regarding rules and regulations of the accommodation. So what rules are there? Can I bring people in? Can somebody come and visit me? Can we have parties in the accommodation? Can we do this? Can we do that? So all these rules and regulations, like, they have to state it out for you so that you will have a better understanding of what you are getting into. The next point will be regarding the housing expenses. So as I previously said, if you go to the residence, normally this is all included. So electricity, water, heating, everything is included in the price. That's why sometimes it's a little bit more expensive. But with individual accommodations, so if you're going for a shared room in a shared apartment, sometimes the monthly rent doesn't have the housing expenses included. So you have to add every month all the utility bills. In some cases, that's why I'm telling you to read the contract, right? So you have to ask the landlord, the owner, the person that you are renting it from, okay, is everything included? If everything is not included, more or less, how much do I have to put more on for these expenses, right? So you have to know this. Not that it gets to the end of the month and then you are just stranded that, okay, now I have to add another 100 euros to that the previous monthly rent that we already agreed on. So all these things you have to take into consideration. The next thing, as I previously said, will be the deposit and commission. So the deposit, as I said, normally most of the times is a 2 months deposit, right? So the price of the accommodation, you'll pay 2 months more as a deposit in case anything happens. If it's something like maybe they take to bring in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, that is a lie. That, like, don't go for it, because that can be a scam. That can be a fraud. They will just want you to pay more so that in case anything happens, they can get that money. So for those kind of situations, be very, very aware. The next point regarding commissions is that all these online accommodation providers where you can book the accommodation online, they do a job for you, right? So they go to the accommodation, they verify it, they secure your money. So when you move into the accommodation, it's when they transfer the money to the landlord. So all these services that they are providing, they take a commission, right? Up to now, I've never seen any commission that is the same amount as the first month rent. Normally it's below that, right? So more or less, that is where it should be, because they are doing all this verification process for you to have it easy. So the security that they are giving you, you pay them a commission for that security, for them to be able to continue doing that. So when you are signing the contract or when you are booking, just check that, okay, how much is the commission that I'm going to be paying in this case, or if there is any. The last thing will be the length of the contract, right? So the lease that you are going to sign, you have to know how long it's going to be for. Normally, most landlords, they don't want to sign a lease or contract for less than 1 year. So maybe you are going to sign the contract, you have already told the landlord, okay, I'm going to stay only for 5 months, but they bring in the lease that you are going to stay for a year. You have to look at that, and then you have to tell them to amend it. Because if they send you the lease for a year and you sign it, that means that if you leave before that year, you have to repay them for the rest of the months that you didn't stay in. So all these kind of things, I think these are the 5 major things that you have to look at when you are signing any lease or when you are talking to anybody. Try to ask these questions to have a better understanding of how all these works. So with all that being said, I'm going to give you a few bullet points regarding how to search and, let's say, find your accommodation in this case. So majorly, you have to start as early as possible. As I said at the beginning, there are almost 1 million international students in Europe every year, and you are just one of them. So there are other people that are looking for accommodation the same way that you are looking for. And if you wait till the last minute, you are not going to get the one that might be of your interest. If you wait till the last minute, maybe you get the expensive one, you get the one that is far from your faculty. So right now that you are here listening to me, I think you are doing very well in this case. So you have to start searching as early as possible. Like talk with your university to find out what they have, if they have a residence, or if they don't have a residence for students. Just go online, start looking out there and try to find one as early as possible. The next thing will be the location and the amenities that this accommodation has. So depending on where your faculty is, you have to look at where the accommodation that you are going to stay in, where it's located. So you don't want to stay in a place that is, let's say, maybe 1 hour and a half away from your faculty. It doesn't make sense to every day to be commuting back and forth for almost 3 hours every single day. So you have to know where it is. And regarding the amenities, you have to check in the, normally everybody states what the accommodation has. So if it's a room or if it's an apartment, they'll tell you, okay, it has a kitchen, it has an oven, it has a washing machine, it has a dryer. So you have to look at the things that are interesting and important to you. The next thing is, as I've already said, you heard me previously, 30 million euros are lost every year regarding housing fraud and scams. So you have to be very aware. If you see something that is too good to be true, then it's too good to be true. If you see a single room in Paris, in the center of Paris for 300 euros, that is probably going to be a scam. If you see a whole apartment in the center of Madrid for 500 euros, that is a scam, right? And if they're telling you, oh, you send me the money and then I'll book it for you, sending me directly to my account and then I'll book it, that I strongly advise not to do that. Because once you transfer that kind of money, there's no trace to it back to you. So all these kind of things, like, just be extra careful of all these things. You don't ever transfer money to somebody until you are there, until you are living in the house, until you have seen it personally. And then you can, okay, guarantee that, okay, I've seen it, so I'm going to give you the money, or I'm living here, so I'm going to give you the money. If you make an international transfer, that money can be lost forever and you can never get it back. Regarding the accommodation that you're going to live in, the next steps that I'm going to give you is what you have to look for, at least from my perspective, right? So either you have, if it's interior or it's exterior, right? So regarding, does it receive direct sunlight or it doesn't receive direct sunlight? As a student, like, you need a place where you can have direct natural light in some ways to study. The next thing, as I've already said, regarding amenities, furniture, and appliances is, okay, is it fully furnished? Because as a student, you are going to stay in for the most time they're going to stay in is for 10 months, if you're going for the full academic year. And if you're going to stay in a place for 10 months, you are not the one who is supposed to buy the furniture, the table, the bed, the wardrobe. It doesn't make sense, because when you leave, what are you going to do with that? That is an extra expenses that doesn't make any sense for you. So you have to look into the accommodation. Even if you have any doubt, ask. Does it have a washing machine? Is the kitchen fully equipped? Do I have a bed? All these things, you have to ask them before you move in or before you make a booking. The next one will be regarding the transportation and surroundings. So this is in regards to, okay, where is it located? How far how long does it take me from that place to get to my faculty? So with Google Maps, it's very, very simple. You just take the direction, you take the address of the faculty, and then you calculate, and then you say, okay, there's a bus just 2 minutes away from this place, so I can take the bus, and then I have just only maybe 20, 15 minutes to reach my faculty, right? And regarding the surroundings, is it a quiet area or is it an active area? I think when we go on Erasmus, we want to go out, we want to party, we want to do things, but maybe you don't want to live in the party 24 hours. Because if you live in the area where every day there's a party, every day there's a party, then it's hard for you to concentrate. It's hard for you to sleep, and then it's hard for you to do other things, right? So you have to choose the area that you're interested in. So you just have to figure out, okay, is this neighborhood good or is this neighborhood bad? So just before I end, I'm going to show you our website, what we do in Erasmus Play. and then I show you how it works so you have a little bit more of understanding. So let me see if I can go back to, okay. So I think you all see the site. So this is Erasmus Play, this is our site. Mainly this is the homepage, so a little bit more of information about what we do. And now let's do an example with one of you. So can any one of you tell me a city that he or she is going to? I don't know, Gaspar, Tina, Patricia, any one of you?
I'm going to Trondheim.
Trondheim. I
Yeah.
don't even know where Trondheim is.
In Norway.
How is Trondheim written?
Oh, T R to the O. The first one.
Okay, so let's see. Some of the times regarding some cities is very difficult to get a place because there's a whole lot of partners that we can work with. So let's see what we have in Trondheim, and then if not, we will choose another city. Well, unfortunately, in Trondheim we have nothing. Unfortunately, in Trondheim we have nothing. So in this case, let's go to Gaspar. Gaspar, what can you give us? Sorry, Gaspar. Sorry for pronouncing it wrong. What city are you going to, Gaspar?
Bratislava.
Yeah.
Bratislava. Okay. So let's see. In Bratislava, I think Bratislava maybe we might have something more. So yeah, basically what I was previously explaining, in our site, what we do is we aggregate accommodation from many different places. So what we do is we bring all of them together into one place. And as I already showed you, here each card represents an accommodation in itself. So you can see this one is an entire apartment, this one is an entire apartment, this one too is an entire apartment, and here you can see the prices and everything. Here in details, you are able to see exactly a little bit more of information, right? So they give you a little bit more details about this this place in particular. And here at the end, for example, like they give you a little bit more information about its features, right? So in this case, this one, it has a balcony, it has internet, Wi-Fi, washing machine, and so on. With the map, what we have here is that you can locate exactly where it is. So you know exactly to pinpoint it on the map. And even you have the address here. So with the address, you can go to Google and then say, okay, how far is it from my faculty? Is it interesting to me or not? And then again, here in the availability, you can see when it's available. So actually this one, although it's an entire apartment, so the price is high, it's available from April until a new time that what somebody is interested in, okay? And I don't know, before we move on, Patricia, what is your city? Which city are you going to? I think Patricia is not with this. Hello, Patricia? No? Okay. So basically, when you are interested in any of these accommodations, what you do is you click on view, and then we redirect you to that that platform where the accommodation is for you to book it, right? So here, this is the owner. You can talk with the owner. You can request information about the owner and everything, right? So majorly, this is what we do, and this is how we make the platform works. Okay, so more or less, I think the idea is there. And Tina, I'm very sorry for your city that right now we don't have anything there. Sometimes in some cities it's very difficult to get accommodation, and unfortunately, this is one of yours. Nonetheless, Tina, at the end, here in sorry, let me see if I get this. Here in our, if you follow us on Instagram at erasmusplay.com, our colleagues are there who will help you in any ways, right? So what we have is normally we have an extensive collaboration. We have an extensive list of accommodation providers that we can work with. So if you send us any messages through Instagram or even through the email address, like we will put ourselves to work and try to find something for you. Okay, Tina?
But Patricia wrote in the chat that she's going to Oulu, Finland.
To Oslo, Finland?
Oulu.
Is this?
So it's O-U-L-U.
O-U?
L?
Oulu.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's this one.
Yeah.
Well, in the same case, Patricia, your case too is a difficult one. We just have this one. But in any case, that's what I'm saying. Tina, Patricia, like send us an email to these to this one that I sent you. either you can write us on Instagram or you send us an email to communications@erasmusplay.com. And then you tell us what you need, right? So your budget, how long you are going to stay, and maybe the area that you might be interested in. And with that one, we might be able to help you in one way or the other. So just before we leave, just to not leave this as it is. For example, if you would have chosen any other city, so I'm going to choose other cities so that I can show you the extensive network that we have. For example, if you go to since I'm in Spain, let me choose something like Madrid. So in Madrid, this one is different, right? So here you have a whole lot more offer. So the amount of accommodations that we have, about 19,000. And as I said, we are working with extensive partners, so we always name them here. So this one is from the Homestay, this one is from Uniplaces, co-living hotels, Uniplaces, Spot at Home, Housing Anywhere. So that is what we are doing, right? And here you just come in and you check it. And I'm going to show you a little more city because now I feel like I couldn't get the ones that you were interested in, but for the people that are going to watch us in the video later, I'm going to show them that in other cities, like is the same, that there are a whole lot of offer in other cities. In the small ones, it's difficult, but if you send us an email and you can send us on Instagram, we can help you more. But the website, we have other cities that are more complete with more information. So I don't know, do you have any other questions? Patricia, Tina, Gasper, do you have any questions, any doubts that you would like me to go a little bit in?
Maybe if you have more specific information about Slovakia, the rental process and things like that, if you know anything, just,
Yeah, so in that case, what we normally do, I think maybe I'm going to go back and share my screen because this is something that I think is interesting also to show you. In our website, if you come to the starting point and you go down here to the side map, what we have here, we have basically listed all these cities that we have accommodation in, and we give information about these cities, right? So for example, if you come here and click on Bratislava, what you are going to find out is what we have, we know about the city and what we have, the content, the information that we have gathered about that city. So in these kind of things, like you can read them and then you figure out some of the things that maybe you don't have very clear. Nonetheless, as I already said, if you want to send us an email, I'm more than happy to answer any specific questions that you might have. But in general, like these are the kind of things that we also do to help students in this situation, right? So you come here, you can search for the city that you are going to, and then we talk about like the neighborhoods, how the booking process works, where to live, where not, and these kind of information. So you can find them on our website. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Tina, do you have any questions?
No, not at the moment.
But Tina, one of the things that I think is very important is, have you talked with your, sorry, have you talked with your university to ask them if they have a residence? Because normally in these small cities, they have something because it's quite difficult.
No, I haven't, because I have to talk with Mrs. Pia at the first, because I have one question.
Okay. Okay. So in this case, when it's sometimes hard for you to find, even if you go online, you search, and you don't find anything. Normally, what you have to do is you talk with the host university that you're going to. You ask them these questions. Okay, do you have a residence? I'm kind of finding it difficult, and sometimes they have these kind of residences because for the smaller cities, the universities know how difficult it is to find accommodation on your own because there's not a lot of offer. So if you talk with them first, they can give you a little bit more information regarding how or where to search, or even if they have on their own residence for you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, and from my side, that is all. I don't know if you have any questions. I've already said you can send it to communications@erasmusplay.com, or you can follow us on Instagram and write to my colleagues that are there that are always helping other students. Okay. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much for this interesting and I think very useful presentation. I think our students this will really benefit them. So thank you so much for your time.
You're also welcome. I'm happy to do this. Okay.